Hey guys, Scott here. Today I want to talk about the new meta that we're going to be getting probably in April, I think is when it's going to come out. Because there's a lot of things that have changed in the game now. A lot of gen regression perks are dead, healing is now vastly slower, and I think simply those two things alone are going to make a giant difference in the way people play. So I want to go over what people will do and how you can counter what they're trying to do, and it's going to be a back and forth war, but that's typically how the meta goes. You know, people trying to make something strong, and then people trying to counter those things. And people try to suck the fun out of everything and do the strongest thing possible. So I want to warn you guys what you'll probably be encountering and how to counter that on both sides. So first up is going to be, let's talk about the healing changes. Assuming these healing changes go through and healing takes 24 seconds, I feel like they're going to go back on that a little bit. It might even be like down to 20 seconds or something like that. Regardless, if they are nerfing healing, you can be damn sure the first thing killers are going to do is throw Sloppy Butcher on every single killer. And that is going to make you mangled. So pretty much every killer now is going to try to run any variation of mangle they can get their hands on, anything that slows healing down. So we're going to have a lot of killers running perks like Calrophobia. We're going to have killers running Sloppy Butcher. They're going to be running add-ons like, for example, Blind Warrior that applies mangled when you hit somebody. A lot of killers have mangled add-ons. You're going to see a lot more of that because killers want to basically amplify the effects of an already extremely severe nerf to healing, making it so much so that it's almost like not even worth it to heal. And that's going to result in two types of scenarios. A, the survivors will just simply spend more time healing, which gives the killers the slowdown that they no longer have from their regression perks. Or B, survivors will just forego healing entirely, and they'll do the gens faster, but they'll also die faster and chase. And let's say you're playing as killer. Let's say you go against that second group, because I think this is going to be pretty common. People are going to throw on builds where they don't really have to heal. They'll probably have resilience and things like that. They're not going to worry about healing. So you need to be able to capitalize on that as a killer. And the way you do that, if you're not playing a stealth killer, things that give you stealth are extremely important. Because it doesn't matter how good a survivor is. If they cannot hear you coming and they're injured, you're still going to down them extremely fast. So there are a lot of perks that help with that. Things like Fearmonger are going to be much more useful now, since Dead Hard is going to go down quite a bit. We're going to see more things like Sprint Burst, which is heavily negated by Fearmonger on subsequent Sprint Burst. The first one, unfortunately, becomes a lot easier to 99, but every one past that, it's going to be a lot stronger with it. So Fearmonger is going to be good for stopping people from running away if you were trying to sneak up on them while they're injured. But if you're not playing a stealth killer, you need to have perks that amplify your stealth. So I think Tinkerer is actually going to see some kind of resurgence, because getting that on-demand stealth when everybody is remaining injured is going to be huge in getting free downs. Things like Dark Devotion, even Trail of Torment might get some more value as well. The whole thing of staying injured if you're a good player rings true for most killers, except stealth killers. Even good players are scared to be injured against like a Ghostface or a Wraith. Now, unless it's a map like Blood Lodge or Rotten Fields where you can see them coming a mile away, which they're aware of and they're addressing and fixing maps like that. If you are a stealth killer, it doesn't matter how good you are at Survivor. If you can't react in time before they can smack you, the chase is over before it begins, and however good you are at looping doesn't matter. So I think we're going to see a small surge in stealth perks. Things like Tinkerer, Dark Devotion, Thrilling Tremors, not Insidious because that perk is still always a meme, but anything that gives you momentary stealth add-ons, things like that, a lot of killers have that, are going to be more useful because that will punish you for remaining injured, because that's one of two options survivors now have. So I think we'll see a small surge of those type of perks. Like I said, Sloppy Butcher is a no-brainer on basically every killer in the game. If you take 25% longer to a already nerfed healing, that is a very, very long heal, and it's pretty much free game delay for every killer. Or it is a free chase enhancer in that no one is going to bother healing, and then your chases are simply half as long. So that is going to be very strong. And Fearmonger is going to synergize with both of those. But say you don't want to run that type of playstyle, you still want to try to just simply slow the game down instead. There are still insanely good slowdown perks. You don't need Call of Bryant, Eruption, Pain Resonance, because those were the big meta ones for holding 3 gens. There are still very good perks that sort of just work automatically too. You don't even have to really do anything, they just simply happen. So I do think the prevalence of kicking generators is going to go down heavily, which means perks like Nowhere to Hide, for example, are also going to get nerfed as well, just by not having the same synergy anymore. And we're going to see a gravitation towards things that just simply work automatically. Corrupt Intervention, still always an amazing perk. The fact that it goes away after someone is down doesn't really matter, because typically all Corrupted Intervention needs to do is make survivors not spawn on their gen and do that gen. They have to go somewhere else. Once they get somewhere else, it doesn't matter if the perk disables anymore, because they're already working on that generator to begin with. The whole point is to make them get closer to the killer. Makes it a lot easier to find people at the start of the match, and it also incentivizes having your gens clustered together because the other ones are blocked off. So Corrupt Intervention is still a very, very strong perk. Jolt has always been good. It's always been like the wholesome version of old Eruption. It's pretty map dependent, though. If you're on a map like the game, it's probably the strongest slowdown in the entire game. If you're on a map like Mother's Dwelling, might not even do that much. So unfortunately, Jolt is map dependent, but still very good on medium to small size maps. Deadlock is another perk that wasn't really touched. It just simply gives you value by existing. Whenever a gen's finished, the other next progressed gen gets blocked for 30 seconds. That has the exact same effect. So anything that works passively like this is still good. And then we have No Way Out, which is still an extremely good passive effect. All you have to do is poke survivors throughout the match, and then you'll get basically an entire minute of the exit gates being blocked, which is going to be very strong because it's just flat slowdown, and it doesn't really get affected by any of the changes that are currently happening right now. So this is an example of a build that has 4 slowdowns, essentially, that doesn't require the killer to really do much of anything. So you can still have extremely strong slowdown builds in addition to the passively slower healing that survivors have to suffer with right now. So I think that's going to be just fine for killer. Killers are going to be A-okay. You're just going to have to change the 3 meta slowdowns to a bit different things. Let's go over the survivor aspects, though, because survivors are going to have to do a lot of stuff differently now. So because healing is so drastically slowed, there are 2 ways to go about remedying this. You can go the first route, which is simply having things like Botany Knowledge, We're Going to Live Forever, We'll Make It, things that have massive heal speed bonuses. These perks are now effectively stronger than they used to be because they're percentage-based. And if it takes 30 seconds to heal now instead of, 20 seconds to heal or something, a percentage base is going to save you more flat seconds there. So, again, perks like Botany and We'll Make It are going to be effectively stronger. Even though you will be healing slower overall, those perks will have more of an impact. So you can still run those perks and still benefit from them massively. I think we're going to see a lot more people using Resurgence, which I don't have on here. Resurgence is Jill's perk. When you get off the hook, half of your healing progress is already finished. That's going to be very useful, especially countering things like killers trying to come back to the hook. If you have someone with Will Make It and you have Resurgence, you're going to heal in the same time that you would have previously. So I think Resurgence is going to see quite a boost. Basically, anything that gives you chunks of healing that don't follow the standard healing format are going to be a lot more useful. And that involves perks like Inner Healing. Inner Healing is going to be way stronger now because that's simply just a flat 8 seconds. The healing nerfs don't affect things like this. You break a totem, and then you just simply have faster healing. You're just going to go in a locker, and that's it. Now, it's limited throughout the match, but so are medkits that are limited throughout the match. So it's not going to be that much of an issue. Inner Healing is still going to be a very, very strong perk. Additionally, things like Autodidact. Autodidact will unironically be one of the strongest healing perks in the entire game now. The problem with the current version of Autodidact is healing is so fast, you don't even get enough time to gain the stacks for the perk to be valuable. Now that initial heal is going to take a lot longer, but people will get 5 stacks of Autodidact much faster, which means people are going to be actually healing faster overall once they have these stacks, because an Autodidact without the stacks of the perk is useless. In fact, it's less than useless, it's harmful. But if heals take longer now, on average, we're going to have more stacks of this perk, and with 2 skill checks, that's a full heal. So that is going to be a lot more useful. Again, any perks that apply chunks of healing that are not just simply based on the standard 24-second heal timer are all going to be useful. Now, additionally, because Inner Healing is going to be stronger, we're going to see Overzealous come with that as well. Overzealous is also getting buffed to work with boons, so you can have a scenario where you're either booning a totem and gaining the progress speed on generators from Overzealous, or you can have a scenario where you're trying to get your Inner Healing up, and now you also benefit from Overzealous as well, which got buffed to 10%, which is pretty significant. And then we're in that scenario where you're going to be benefiting a lot. You could even throw Resilience on top of this as well and have this scenario where you're now repairing almost 20% faster on a generator by yourself. And if you do need to heal, you're going to lose the Resilience, but you can hop in a locker and then gain the benefits of Inner Healing and then heal up. So that's going to be really nice. So there's a lot of interesting creative builds that we can do to mitigate the flat, healing speed being slower by applying chunks of healing Also, Renewal is going to be another perk that's going to see a lot more value, I think, because Renewal is one of those perks that just simply applies the heal passively. It does require an initial heal at the start for the perk effect to actually be active. Buddy, are you upset about heal speeds? And so that's going to be useful as well. Anything that applies, a passive effect of healing. Yeah, very, very useful. So finally, Sprint Burst is probably going to be the most meta exhaustion perk now. Blythe is going to be good. Balanced Landing, obviously those perks are still great. But Sprint Burst is probably next in line to Dead Hard. If people think Dead Hard is dead, they're going to be going over to Sprint Burst, which is why you're going to see more Fear Mongers and things like that. You can also combo Sprint Burst with Blood Rush, which is the new perk from Monado, and that's going to be pretty good too. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of different stuff here, and I find that interesting. Now, whether or not it's going to be good for the game or bad for the game, I don't know yet. That's the kind of thing we need to see a month from now if the game is more fun than it was, because I think what's going to happen here is there's going to be less incentive to hold 3 gens and more incentive to chase people because chases are not as punished because the healing is much harder. So killers will be incentivized to chase more, and hopefully we see a meta where chasing is now the main focus, because I think that's all basically anybody wants, right? No one wants to sit in a 3-gen game forever. Getting chased by the killer is arguably, depending on the killer, pretty fun. And I think that's the direction that the devs are intending the game to go towards. Whether we get there or not, I don't know. But it's exciting to me. It's different, and we're going to see a lot of different perks here. But, if you still want to do your standard slowdown build as killer, it still works. You just shift to some different perks. I think Survivor is going to be more interesting because I think a lot more of their meta got killed. And we'll see how it goes from there. But those are my suggestions for now. We'll see how it goes, but that's it. Thanks for watching.